Been elected to do the meeting tonight, so we're going to be winging this just a little bit. And so moving into it, I'll do a call to order for the Courthouse and Property Committee meeting, and I'll ask Drew if he will lead us in a word of prayer.
Yeah, please bow your head. Dear Heavenly Father, Lord, please be with us tonight as we make good decisions for our constituents and for our county. Just be with each person as they make decisions and ask questions to better get information as we are to do the will of the people. In Jesus' name, amen.
Okay, and we are missing two people from the committee, so at this point, do we have a form that we could vote to approve with the four we can? Okay, so first thing up would be the approval of minutes of the November 15th, 2022 Courthouse and Property Committee minutes.
Motion to approve.
Motion?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Under reports, we have Codes Department report, and there was reporting closed. Is there anyone here that needs to add anything?
Nothing to add. Do you have any questions on that report?
I did not. Do you all have questions?
No.
No questions.
And thank
That was
you
easy
again for
you.
such a great report. It's definitely a breath of fresh air.
Yes, thank you. We appreciate that. Next up will be Fire Department report, and we have a reporting closed. Any additions to that? Nope. Y'all are gonna make this easy for me. Thank you for the report. E911, we have a reporting closed. Anybody here to speak to that or need to speak? Seeing no one? We'll just move. Okay, well, they're not here, so we'll accept the report on that. Let's see, number 5, GIS, and we had a reporting closed. Anything additional on that?
Not unless anybody has any questions. Oh, I did take our, the official photos. I have added those to the page which lists all the commissioners, so there's now a little thumbnail of your face there next to you.
I don't know if we should thank you for that or not, John, but we will. We'll say thank you for your work on that.
Yeah, you're gonna have to run mine through an app.
Okay. Any
Yeah.
questions? Any other questions for John? Okay, and next up is planning zoning report, and we had a reporting closed. Any additional information there?
Yeah, I do. So over the last 6 weeks, in District 1, we've had several properties that went to the zoning approval, the zoning of appeals, sorry. And then we also had 2 come to Rule Committee that were ones that we did not get prior knowledge to. And so if you would, in the future, if you could just try to give us a little bit of heads up, it just gives myself and Commissioner Maddox enough time to reach out to constituents and things like that. We kind of learned about it at the meeting, so just wanted you to know that.
Yeah, we added all the commissioners to, my secretary Barbara has now, she's got all you guys on a list now, so you should be getting everything.
Okay, thank you for that.
Chris, when's the next meeting for, all the action you guys are doing on the planning commission? When is the next meeting for that? Just your regular meeting?
The next regular meeting,
Okay.
we just have one item on the agenda, it's just a final plat for a subdivision. From here on out, I've got a bunch of things coming
Right.
up that I don't want to have any more special call meetings, so what I'm going to be doing
Okay.
is as I prepare these amendments come up, I'll just be bringing them up as they come.
Okay.
This next meeting we have,
27th.
it's just got one item on the agenda, it's very simple. Very simple.
Right.
And is there any chance, and again, I don't know the procedure on this, but as you're sending those things, I know y'all are voting on a ton of things in the planning and preparing for this moratorium and getting the document kind of changed. Is there any way we can get a copy of those things so we can kind of go along with the planning committee? Because what I'm afraid of is as it comes all as one chunk to the commission, that we're going to have 30 days to look at this thing, where if we're looking at it on the way that y'all are approving, then it allows us to kind of follow along. And if there is things that throw up red flags, then we can start asking or coming to the planning commission and asking for that.
Right, and one of the things I discussed with them in the last meeting, which was a special call meeting, was that I would be getting these things to them, to the planning commission, with just 1 or 2 items at a time, rather than stacking a whole bunch of things that make it very difficult for you guys to keep up with and study, because I know a lot of you guys want to study these items individually, so with a little more depth than other people, and so we'll be happy to do that, and like I said, I've got all the commissioners now on the distribution list, so you should be getting everything that we get from planning commission.
Thank you.
Okay, well,
Again, I think Drew's got a good point, and we talked about that, but but it'll all go in one big wad eventually to the county commission to be approved at one time. And so, Drew, that's very important that everybody keeps up all the time. So, yeah, you're not having to.
Yeah, it just, I mean, because we get a lot of business, and I'm sure getting toward the summer, when this will be kind of coming out, we'll get a lot more business. And that 30-day period from the time we catch it till the time we have to vote on it, it's going to be a robust document,
It'll
so.
be one vote, one time.
Yeah.
It'll change the whole thing, so, yeah, keep up.
If I could tell you, we just got it after the meeting, they were supposed to have before the meeting, but some legal, overview of the resolution that Commissioner Anderson was wanting to circulate that would, kind of revisit how zoning and all that stuff works. So we're gonna get all that stuff pushed out to you. They've got it on their agenda for next month to, I think, possibly have a study session. But we'll get that out to you, because that all goes hand in hand with all the stuff about how this all lays in, what state law says about who does what and all that stuff. So I haven't read it, but that's what legal was supposed to send today. And I just got it noticed in my email. I have it, so we'll get it pushed to you guys tomorrow.
And one thing I would like to add is that previously the planning commission just revised their bylaws. And so this happened just a couple months ago. And one of the things we've been asking for quite some time is more time to do the review, more time for the planning commission to study, which in terms, if you come to the planning commission meetings, you guys are, getting materials, and you want to study them, give you more time. Because used to, person had to submit things to me, and I had 2 weeks to get it on the commission agenda. And that means writing the staff responses, that means advertising in the Times Gazette, that means sending out neighbor notification letters that I'm required to do. I mean, all the signage, everything that we're required to do, I had 2 weeks to get it out there. And then they had basically 30 days to look at it, and then, essentially they could legally, they could put it off for 1 month and review it for 30 days, but within 90 total days, we had to say yes or no. Now, what we've done is we've added a lot of time to that. We've given ourselves a lot bigger buffer. So when somebody brings in the subdivision plat or whatever, the first thing they have to do is come in and meet with me, and we have to have a pre-development conference. Then they submit a set of drawings, then they get my staff notes, and it gives me 2 weeks to give them staff notes. And then they've got another week to make their change, another 2 weeks to make their changes and get them back to me, to get them on the commission floor. So anyway, we just have a lot more time now. But in the past, we were running and gunning just to meet the requirements. And so that's one of the reasons why. I mean, it's been like that ever since we've had a planning commission. So now we've got a little room.
And I know this is Rules Committee primarily, but just so clarification, because I think it came up on our zoning request out in Bell Buckle. The Planning Commission is in the document that you have an allotted amount of time from the time that the subdivision or zoning request change puts in, you have a certain amount of time that you either have to move it forward or it's automatically approved, correct? Does the commission and the committees, do we have that same time frame? Or does once you give it to us, like if we kick it 30 days to study it more, are we on that same time clock, or is it just the planning commission?
It's just the planning commission, and it really has just to do with the subdivisions.
Okay.
Because the subdivisions never make it to the county commission.
Yeah.
The planning commission has sole jurisdiction on subdivisions, so.
Okay.
It's a rule, it's a state law actually that's in place for subdivision approvals. So what it does is it keeps the administrative wheels from locking down and just not ever telling somebody yes or no.
Okay.
Costing people money. And so it forces us to act. And so it gives us a certain amount of time to act. When it comes to rezoning, those are the things that eventually make it to the county commission.
Okay.
Okay, Linda?
Drew, I have asked Ginger this, and we've talked about it a lot at the commission level. The planning commission has to go by the book, literally by the book. Commission, pretty much do what you want to, except there are 2 words, capricious and various. And those have been brought up in a couple of lawsuits that involve the commission. So her response to that, and I've asked her that about deferring it, you could probably get by with deferring it for 30 days, if you had a reason like, I want a traffic study done, I want a count of this or that, or I want to see a plat drawn, I want to see another drawing of something. Just to say you want to look at it more, or study it more, or nothing that's not basically mathematical or something that's on paper. You might get by with it for 30 days, but but after not much more than that, or they'll nail you. If it's not approved, then that's something they can come back on.
Yeah, we were just running up against we were, I guess, putting ourselves on our own time limit, but on this one that was in Bell Buckle, we were trying to get communications between Mark Clanton's office and Dr. Garrett, and we were just pushed to time, and we just wanted to make sure that if that comes up again, where we're waiting on a report, we're trying to get more information, then if we have that same ability, because I don't want to put planning in a bind where we're kicking it 30 days and it puts you on a clock, so I just want to make sure.
It'll be our clock, but
Yeah.
if you do something like that, especially deferring it, always say why, and something that you need,
Yeah.
that's no problem. Then if you get down to another 30 days and, you need something else, like get some eye rolling somewhere, much more than that, they can come back on us, just because they'll say we're delaying it,
Yeah, thank you for that.
Any more questions or comments? Okay, I'm not gonna leave you out, Mr. Carney. Because aren't we supposed to add IT to
Yes,
this?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
So, on my report, I just listed a couple of the projects that we worked on this past month. We finished up a telephone refresh. They had an antiquated condyle, POTS phone system that was very old. The health department, it was just falling apart. Was not reliable. The public couldn't make phone calls in and out of the facility. The carrier was separating from all of their customers, and we went in and installed 64 phones between two sites at the health department. They are a quasi-state entity. However, some of their budget is county budget is reimbursable by the state. But we went in, they paid for the phones, 64 of them. The switches, the two switches came out of the county budget. But we went in, we installed phones, that saved them. They were paying around $900 a month for phone services because they had an old legacy system. So now, that'll save them $9,000 a year, the system we put in. That should pay for itself in 3 years, based on quality analysis we did on the current, what they were paying versus what they will be paying. That puts our voice over IP system, we have 276 phones in the field, and at a cost of $25 a year for our service, our annual contract with our voice over IP consultant in Nashville. So it costs us $7,000 a year. We pay an annual service agreement with this company called Ideacom Networks for very complex troubleshooting migrations or upgrades, software upgrades to the system. That's included in the fees we pay. We have ever since we've had the company, ever since I've been here. And we pay a lot less than what we would pay if we had a hosted system, meaning cloud-based phone system, which you might find out there. Anything cloud-based, internet-based phone system. So it's a fraction of the cost. Nobody can really compete with us because we have an in-house system that we manage here on site. So we did have some savings. I know Linda wanted to hear that number. There it is, $9,000 a year. The other was the courthouse AV system. We were waiting on wireless microphones. That was taken care of. That finishes out that should complete the installation of the AV system in the commissioner's porch next door, right next to us here. So those wireless microphones are running. And we have data drops everywhere. Everything's been terminated, completed. The only thing remaining for that, which is separate from the AV portion, we're going to be bringing in some devices that the commissioners will be able to interact with the digital version of the agenda and meeting information. Be able to take any questions. There's a list of some of the other projects that we have coming up next month on the back of the sheet. Feel free to ask any questions anytime. I'm available. Y'all know how to reach me. Call me, email me.
Okay. Any questions or comments on any of that? Thank you for that report. So the next thing we need to do is approve the reports. Do I have a motion?
Make a motion.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Other reports for information only, there are none. We don't have any old business on ours. We don't have any new business
Well,
unless somebody has something.
Yeah, I would like, oh, go ahead, Mayor. No, go ahead.
I don't know if she told you guys, it was all, if you
No.
got it, tell me.
No, I don't know if it's the
Okay,
same
Julie
thing.
reached out to me and wanted to just make sure the committee understood that she has now gotten, I guess, the latest data about county properties, and she's, merging that with the document she had before, and should have it for you guys at the next meeting. For you guys.
Okay, thank you. Any additional?
Yeah, it was brought up in the previous meeting about meeting location, and I think it would probably behoove us to talk about that. As we've seen tonight, we were jam-packed in this room, and I think that we have a beautiful facility about 30 feet from us that was more than adequate when we did it 3 months ago. I would love to see us do that, but again, I would love to hear your opinion about that.
I just think this room is too small most of the time.
I have a suggestion that Chris probably knows this building as much as anybody, and like, you know, say for this room, do you need whatever that is up there? I don't know. But maybe get with somebody who really knows this building and see if there's any other possibilities, because a little bit like Drew, I hate to say that, but we paid a lot of money to fix all this up, and but just explore the possibilities with the mayor and maybe Chris on something.
I wanna put a timeline on it, I don't wanna just talk about it though, we need to put a timeline on it and put it in action. That's not something that we just need to kick the can down the road. I urge you to.
Well, I think it's important that this isn't for our comfort or things like that. If a handful of constituents wanted to come to the earlier meeting, we wouldn't have had a place for them. And the thing is we have to be open to the constituents to be here. It already, starting at 5, pushes them, because anybody that gets off at 5 o'clock pretty much can cancel being at the first meeting. And I think that's a shame as well. Now, that's a conversation for a different day, but the thing is we have to be as open as possible as a commission to allowing the constituents to come in here and voice their opinions and hear what the daily business is. And yes, we put it out online, and yes, we put out minutes, but if they decide to come, we need to be as accessible as possible for them to be able to be in here. So, I guess I can, to see if, to make a motion that the mayor's office would come to work with the different administrative groups to come up with maybe a couple solutions to the problem, and then that we can vote on it in 30 days.
Okay, so we have a motion.
What's the options? I mean, is this the biggest room we've got besides, it's either here or the main courtroom? And I talked to Josh about this when I was outside.
There's pretty much, those are the only 2 major rooms. The question could be whether this wall could be moved or whether this.
I wouldn't want to do any construction. We've got that
No.
room over there, so
We,
I mean, I'll do whatever.
Make a motion to send it to the commission or what you want to do. And let them vote it up.
Is that where you want to go, Drew?
yeah, I'll rescind my motion and let you.
Would you?
Well, I mean, I'm good with that. I'll make a motion that we move this meeting to the main, or move all committee meetings to the main courthouse or courtroom.
Even finance?
I think that we make it a common location for all the committee meetings. That way there's no hesitation for the community. They know exactly where meetings are.
That's what I'm saying, make a motion.
Linda, what do you think?
Like I said, what's in there, you open that one up, or you go all the way to the other end of this one, and you've got a massive room right here.
What's wrong with the courtroom?
It's just setting it up every time.
The
For-
acoustics ain't real good in there to me either. You know, if you're in the audience and people are talking out there, it's hard to hear. I like the Dover Street,
Right.
because that's a big open room, and
we can have the conversation we're having in here without any microphones or anything like that, we're in there.
It's hard to hear in there.
It's hard for me to hear, but I'm just that person, I'll get over that.
Josh, is the audio visual in there is, I know you did, I came to a planning commission meeting that was in there and it was set up with microphones. Is that a difficult task?
So, here's where we've been up till now. Previously, we've had to get somebody to come in here and help us set up all that with speakers that would help us bring a mixer board, something with phantom power, power those microphones. We've had to actually have somebody come and help us set that up, a contractor. So, that's been something we've had to do up until now. Well, then we now have the wireless mics. So those wireless mics, you're welcome to listen to them and test them out. There's 2 of them. So if you need more than that, that might bring a challenge. We don't have a way to interface an equipment yet to try to turn that into a committee meeting space. Because what we did, what the design was to make it for commissioners. We don't have a way to interface a lot of microphones. So we have 2 wireless.
Okay, what about the possibility of being in this room? You could prop that door. Is there a possibility you could put a television in that little hall there that you could have like an overflow space?
Well, this, on that note, and agree that we need to, if you're gonna stay in, the interesting thing is, for those that weren't on the commission from before, but we used to meet on the 3rd floor, and that space wasn't any bigger than this space. But that doesn't mean that we didn't need more space, but I'm just saying, this space is not like really smaller, but we were going to bring technology in here, and so yes, they would be able to see, in fact, they could now, even with the live stream, that TV or the equivalent of that could be out there for overflow space, yes.
Josh, for the wireless mics, are you talking like a handheld mic that you can talk into? Most of the time in these committee meetings, the chairman's the one that talks 95% of the time, and then, it's handed off. I mean, is there speakers above where the audience is in that location? So in all reality, the audio visual is in place for that location. All right, so I'm going to continue with my motion to move all committee meetings into the main courtroom.
You want it with a recommendation, or just to put it on the agenda?
Just put it on the agenda.
Well, we'll put it on the agenda and see, unless I don't want to make a decision for the
Yeah.
finance committee if they're
Yeah,
if they're good with out there, but I do like to have room for everybody that's coming in to be comfortable, to be able to listen to the committees.
Yes, sir.
So, Commissioner Hooker, thank you, for making the motion. So, I mean, it just seems to me that, what made it a little cumbersome was, I've attended the meetings, the planning meeting, and there's a whole host of people that are on the planning committee. And that makes it a little more cumbersome to kind of manage and maintain. But it seems like that with the front audience, or the front portion being small, right, you only have a few people, that it just doesn't, it just makes more sense to move next door. I don't see the even from a sound standpoint. At the end of the day, we're doing this more for the people than just for us. So, and I have a strong feeling that there's going to be more people as time marches on. There's going to be a lot more people that are going to start coming.
So we had a motion. Do we have a
I
second?
guess I'll second it.
Okay. Any other comments or questions before we move on? And so what we're motioning to do is to send it before the commission to move the committee meetings to the big courtroom.
All committee meetings.
All committees.
All 4 committees. Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We'll send that on to the commission. Any other new business? Anything else? I think all the announcements have probably been covered. So Merry Christmas, stay warm. I need a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.